Hey, what's up? It's Matt Schuster.
Ooh, today is my favorite part. Alright, so today we're talking about the hardware that you need to do voiceover from home. And I'm going to go over first the 3 basic options for microphones that you need. And then based on what kind of microphone you have or what kind of microphone you're going to get, that'll kind of depend on the other hardware that you need or don't need. Okay, so first up is going to be your phone microphone. And phone microphones can do a lot nowadays, especially like the iPhone microphones. In addition to their cameras are like super powerful, so you can do a lot with just that. So especially for just practice, phone microphones are a great option. You can, upload the file to a Dropbox or email it to yourself or whatever when you're done, and then get that on your computer, put it in your DAW, and then go ahead and play around with it and, practice editing and all that stuff. It's really portable and it's easy to use, so using your phone is a great option. I wouldn't use it to record a professional project necessarily, but it's a great tool to have. I still use it all the time if I, need to make voice memos or if I want to practice a script and I'm not at home or something like that. I use it to record melodies for songs that I'll probably never produce. So your phone is a good option. Secondly, it's going to be a USB microphone. Now, if you don't know what a USB microphone is, you've probably seen one before. I'll put a picture of one right there. So a USB microphone is like what it says. It plugs directly into your computer via a USB cable. So the signal that your microphone is sending is going straight to your computer from the microphone. There's no middleman at all. And USB microphones, again, they're, small. They're portable. You can plug them into any computer, anywhere. They're really durable for the most part. They come with their own desk stand. Most of them do. They're really popular among podcasters and streamers, like video game streamers. Blue is probably the most popular brand, but I'll post some other budget-friendly options down below so you have a wider range of options to look through. And also I'm going to be doing that for anything that I talk about in this video. There's going to be a bunch of different options in the description for basically any kind of budget, so just go ahead and check that out there. I've never used a USB microphone personally. I do know that they're not as sensitive as XLR microphones and X microphones we're going to talk about. So just be aware of that, but they still provide a really good signal and a nice clear sound that gives you something to work with. So, I mean, they're definitely usable and they're really affordable. So, I mean, if you don't want to spend a lot of money or if you don't have a lot of money to spend, but you still want to get a microphone to start, a USB microphone is a good option. Now, the last kind of microphone is going to be an XLR microphone. Now, an XLR microphone is just like it says. It plugs in via an XLR cable into your computer. Well, actually, it plugs into an audio interface, which then plugs into your computer, which I'll talk about in a second. But an XLR microphone, generally speaking, they're just going to be a lot more sensitive than USB microphones and definitely your phone microphone. So using an XLR microphone, you're getting the widest range of frequencies being picked up. So it's just going to sound like a more complex file, I guess. There's just more material to work with for editing is basically what I'm talking about. Now, within XLR microphones, there's 2 basic kinds. There's dynamic microphones and condenser microphones. The basic difference between the two is that condenser microphones generally are more sensitive and dynamic microphones are not. Also, condenser microphones require phantom power or extra power to make them work through the audio interface, and dynamic microphones, generally speaking, do not need phantom power. It doesn't necessarily make one better than the other, they just sound a little bit different and kind of can be used for different functions. So I guess use that when you're thinking about which one to buy if you want to buy an XLR microphone. I have 2 here with me today. This is my dynamic microphone that I have. This is a Shure SM57 if you were curious. And my other one is my Shure KSM32. That's my condenser microphone. That's actually in my booth because I was too lazy to move it out here, and that's the microphone that I use for pretty much everything. If you listen to any of my other videos, like my impression videos or singing videos or anything like that, they were all recorded on that microphone pretty much. But I'm gonna do a demonstration of both the dynamic microphone and the condenser microphone just so you can kind of get a general idea of what I'm talking about, the sensitivity difference and kind of the tone quality difference. These are 2 wildly different price points. This one's about $100 and the KSM32 is just over $500, I think. So they're not really in the same playing field in terms of sound quality, but it'll give you a basic idea of the difference between the 2. All right, y'all, here I am recording on my dynamic microphone. This is a Shure SM57. So hopefully you can tell it sounds a little warm, kind of rounded. Hopefully it gives off that broadcaster vibe. I don't know what the right adjectives are to describe it, but you'll be able to see the difference, or hear the difference, hopefully. Well, I mean, see the difference, because they look whatever. Hear the difference between this one and the condenser microphone that I'm going to talk into in a second, but let's give it a test. No. Oh, here we go. This is going to be a dramatic reading. The rose she had offered was truly an enchanted rose, which would bloom until his 21st year. If he could learn to love another, and earn her love in return, by the time the last petal fell, then the spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all time. For who could ever learn to love a beast? Good evening. All right, y'all, so now I'm recording on my condenser microphone. This is my Shure KSM32. Hopefully you can hear the difference. It's a little bit wider across the frequency. I'm getting a little bit more highs out of this one than out of the dynamic microphone. No, I don't mean like high, but you know, like high frequencies. This is my workhorse. This is the microphone I use for pretty much everything. Again, if you've listened to any voiceover for any of my other videos, this is basically what I recorded on. And we're going to go ahead and read that same excerpt so you can kind of hear the difference. And I'm going to read it just as dramatically. The rose she had offered was truly an enchanted rose, which would bloom until his 21st year. If he could learn to love another, and earn her love in return, by the time the last petal fell, then the spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all time. For who could ever learn to love a beast? Not me. I'm just kidding, that's mean. All right, so hopefully you guys get a good idea of the difference between a dynamic microphone and a condenser microphone just by hearing the difference. If you're curious about like the nitty-gritty and the scientific differences between, you know, how they both work and all that, there's lots of stuff on YouTube that you can look up that'll explain it a lot better than I can. Now with an XLR microphone, the reason why, I mean, it's gonna be the best option in terms of quality, obviously, but you are gonna have to spend a little more money, not necessarily because you have to buy a super expensive microphone, but because of everything else you have to buy with an XLR microphone to make it work. And what I'm talking about is, first of all, you have to buy an XLR cable, which looks like that. And an XLR cable plugs directly from your microphone into the audio interface. And the audio interface basically takes the signal that's picked up from your microphone. Like when the sound waves from your voice hit your microphone, it turns it into an analog electrical signal. And then your microphone sends that signal to the audio interface, and then the audio interface turns that into a digital signal that your computer can use. So you have to have an XLR cable, and you have to have an audio interface. You don't have to spend a ton of money on an audio interface. There's a lot of really high quality, budget-friendly options. Again, link in description. But you are gonna have to get an audio interface and an XLR cable if you want your microphone to work. A couple other pieces of equipment that you have to have, but also don't have to spend a lot of money on. You have to have a microphone stand, whether it's a boom arm, like this one, that clamps to your desk and is really convenient, or just a standard mic stand, whatever you have going for you, as long as it holds the microphone up, it's doing its job, so you can be budget friendly there if you want. And then another piece of equipment that kind of gets looked over sometimes is the pop filter. Now, pop filter, you saw me using it on the condenser microphone. It was that big screen that I had in front of it, and a pop filter basically kind of does what it says it does. It stops popping sounds from your voice from entering the microphone. So when you speak with like harsher sounding syllables, like harsh P sounds or even B sounds or T sounds or anything like that, if you say them really harshly, there's, I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but there's air, like a little puff of air that gets projected out of your mouth when you speak that way. So a pop filter reduces those pops, or plosives, as they're called in the industry. It stops those plosives from getting into the microphone and creating a harsh listening sound for whoever's listening to it. So you have to have a pop filter. The good thing about it is that it's probably the least expensive thing that you'll have to buy across this whole spectrum. So, I mean, you can get nicer ones that are like, you know, $40, $50 plus, but you can get a decent one that'll work and last a long time for like 15 bucks on Amazon. So if you look around, you can find something. But again, links in description. Then obviously you're gonna need a computer which has your DAW on it. If you don't know what a DAW is, go and watch my video about recording from home software. You don't have to have a nice one. You might already have the computer that you need right now. You don't need a ton of power or crazy specs to be able to run a digital audio workstation. As long as it runs without crashing every 5 minutes, you're probably okay. And the last thing you're gonna need is headphones. Now, I put this last on the list because they're probably the least important, in my opinion. I have some Sennheiser HD280 Pros. They're $100. They're an amazing deal for how good they are. And they're studio monitor headphones, which basically means they sound isolate really well and they give a really neutral response, meaning like they don't enhance highs or lows of any kind of sound file, so you're getting the most accurate response, meaning that it's giving you the truest playback of what someone else would hear after you process it. Hopefully that makes sense. It's basically, it's not giving any bias to any one part of the file. It's just supposed to be, oh, okay, when you're listening to it, you know, using a pair of headphones like monitor headphones, that what you're hearing is like 99% gonna be exactly what someone else is gonna hear it when you send it to them. But if you don't have monitor headphones, that's totally fine. You can use whatever headphones you have right now. It doesn't really matter too much, especially if you're just practicing. You just need to be able to hear your voice and you know, hear how you're practicing, how you're breathing, because breathing is really important, but I'll talk about that later. Make sure that there's no plosives coming in. Stuff like that, you know. So just use whatever headphones you have. If you have some money laying around, I would invest in a pair of monitor headphones. Links in description. But if you don't, that's totally fine. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully that helps you guys a little bit. I love talking about microphones and sound equipment. It's really fun to learn about. Even if you only have your phone microphone or your USB microphone, there's a ton of cool stuff that you can record and practice with. I highly encourage you to just read anything and everything around your house to just practice speaking and kind of get used to what it feels like to narrate and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what kind of microphone you have. Just get going and record something. If this helped you guys, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification down below so you can get notified every time that I post a new video, whether it's a tutorial like this, or if it's an impression video or a singing video or something like that. Go ahead and let me know in the comments or on Instagram or Twitter or whatever you guys want to hear, because that would really help me grow this channel a lot, and I want to be here for you. Stay home, stay safe, record something awesome. I love you. Peace.